One. Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis, and today I'm very grateful to be joined by Greg Hamilton. Not many people know Greg, but he's about to be out there now. Greg was a client of mine. He then joined Jason's program and has now put himself out there as the black sheep. That's his website. Greg has been on an awesome journey the last few years, and I'm very grateful I was able to help him out and nudge him back on the path. And then he did Jason's program, and now, yeah, Greg's looking at launching his own coaching business and doing some really awesome things. And Greg, I'm very, very proud of your journey and where you've come from how far or from where you were to where you are now. You have this real glow about you, mate. It looks really awesome. From, as you said before, it must have just been your camera. But Greg, you've done really well. You should be very, very proud of yourself. Welcome to the show, Greg. We've been meaning to do this for a while. It's the right time now. So, Greg, welcome, and let's have a chat.
Hey, thanks for having me. And yeah, like you've just mentioned before, you've put me on the path and I've come a long way. So I'm very grateful to you. So thank you. And I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts, and yeah, there's some of your guests. That's fantastic.
Nah, thank you, Greg. So, Greg, let's start the start. Your journey. How did you get to where you are now? And yeah, share some things and some insights into who you are and what you're about to be doing and your journey. And yeah, let's just go there.
I might start with how I got onto you.
Yeah.
Around the COVID time, I started to sort of wake up a little bit and was looking to the truther stuff, the alternative media, and I think I saw a video with Dale Holmes and you talking. So shout out to Dale. Thanks very much for putting me on to Nathan and David Icke too. Started to read a lot of his books. And you're talking about coffee and self-sabotage in the same sentence, I think, for whatever reason. And I was like, oh, I got to pay attention to this guy because, yes, I sometimes get in my own way, and I definitely have a coffee and caffeine addiction problem. So, yeah, I sort of paid attention to you there a little bit, and then had a look at your website, and then left it alone. Not sure if you can hear noisy kids in the background. That's okay.
No, I've got you.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's how I got first exposure to you. Left it for a little while, and then I was at a crappy job, and then my boss asked me to do something really dodgy and unsafe, and I was like, I didn't actually say anything, but I just internally said, fuck that, I'm out of here, and walked off the job, which is the second time I've ever done that. And yeah, that was a really big deal for me to walk away from something and not have a plan B. I just knew I didn't need to be there. And I was better, sort of a bit of adversity and the strong arm of the law been pushed down on me with the whole mandates and things like that. So I had a rough trot trying to had a really good job, and then lost it because of standing by what I believed in. And then, yeah, that was the sort of catalyst to reach out to you and say, no, let's make change. And so I tried to schedule a time and then paid, and then I think I did. You said I did the questionnaire in a record time because the questionnaire part of the process is quite a lengthy, detailed questionnaire, and it's very important that you put the effort into that. I appreciate now. And then we had the first session, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit different, and I think really what I needed. And I was getting a lot of things right, but Nathan sort of, you helped me just realize why maybe I was doing what I was doing, and the whole subconscious thing I wasn't really too aware of. So that was a big deal for me, and that sort of put me on the path. And we had another session, and where I told you that I love the message and I want to do it too. And so that sowed the seed for me to getting on with the Freedom from Self-Sabotage coaching program, and becoming a coach myself. And took a little while to have a business idea, and now I've got my niche now, which I could talk about a little bit later. So yes, you've made a really powerful and positive change in my life, which I'm grateful, and I I love doing that myself. And
Mm.
yeah,
That's
and there's
awesome.
a yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So tell me, Greg. So yeah, thank you for that so kind words. I
No,
just
no.
thought caught me a little bit off guard. I was just going to ask you about about more into your health journey. You said prior you wanted to talk about that. So you're in the coffee and caffeine and different things, and you've gone a bit blurry here on the video, mate. So you might want to fix that up. As in, like, come forward. I think you got the setting on the.
Okay, yeah,
There
there we
you
go.
go.
Yeah,
We'll leave that one on
that's okay.
for
I
everyone to listen
just
to.
you pretty much just told me to fix my face then, right? Yeah,
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 you're a bit
that's all
blurry.
good.
So
Yeah, nah, I'm being
anyway,
silly.
you wanted to talk
So
about your health journey. So let's deep dive into your health journey, brother.
okay, maybe a year and a half, 2 years before COVID started, I was getting up to wee 12 to 13 times a night,
Wow.
which is very debilitating, as you can imagine, because even now I know how, sleep is really the foundation of your health. If
Mm.
your sleep's no good, then nothing else matters really. But so I think realized there's a problem, and I went and saw my GP, and his heart was in the right place, but it was just a year of testing this, testing that, testing, and really going nowhere.
Mm.
It was good to rule a lot of things out, but I even saw a general physician who's a specialist of specialists, and he unfortunately um, agreed with a misdiagnosis of nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, which is like a kidney failure. Your the tubules don't work properly, and so you retain a lot of water. So I wasn't drinking no liquids after 10 a.m. and still getting up to a lot during the night. So it was a really big deal.
Jeez. Yeah.
Um, and I was starting to lose a lot of faith because it was a year of just fucking around, going nowhere. And I started to Google doctor myself, which I don't recommend, but you do get enlightened. So that's the thing. And for interest's sake, I had my blood lead levels checked because I shoot a lot and have had an automotive background for a long time, and my blood lead levels were really high, and I pretty much didn't touch a gun for 3 months, and like no reloading, no picking up brass, no shooting at all, and the blood lead levels went down 25%.
Wow.
So yeah, I used to shoot a lot and was very, very good because I put the effort in and did the work. But it's kind of like a wake up call: is this really worth it? And with some identity as a competition shooter and someone very successful in that space, it was tough to come away from that. But I sort of picked up a compound bow and put all that energy into learning to shoot bows and arrows. And there's a lot of transferable skills, so it's kind of good that I had that outlet to do it. And I like to bow hunt today, and I had a bit of my ego was getting in the way a little bit with I'd rather be good at something than enjoy the process. So I sort of stayed away from competition shooting and just do it for fun now, which is really good. But yes, the heavy metal issue with the lead could have been part of that polyuria. There are lots of urination at night. But I came across some of Jason Fung's work. He's written books like The Cancer Code, The Diabetes Code, and The Obesity Code. And because he's a kidney and diabetes specialist, that's why I paid attention. And he introduced me to the topic of intermittent fasting.
Mm.
So I felt like I was educated enough to have a go, and he empowered me through his writings. And I think my first fast was 5 days straight. So
Oh.
just go balls deep and get it done. And like, you know, it's quite difficult in the first 2 days because you're used to normal meal timings, and um, there's a lot of associations with food, and it's not just about nutrition and nourishment. So there was, it was uncomfortable, but day 3, 4, 5, I felt best I'd ever felt for ages. Like, it's amazing how good you feel and how it is really, really good for you. So,
Mm.
the autophagy, the programmed cell death and cleansing and detoxing, humans aren't designed to have 3 meals every day, I don't think.
I don't think so though.
But what come away from um, that experiment with it was my polyuria, the nighttime urination, was a lot less. And I know now that comes from the less insulin resistance, because every time, even if you smell food or preparing food, you haven't ingested anything, you still get an insulin response. So, having healthy snacks and trying to snack all the time to bring up your metabolism and all that sort of stuff, it's no good, because you breed that insulin resistance. And when your insulin resistance is really high, there's a lot of water retention from that insulin. So yes, it's come down a massive amount. So yeah, what I'm getting at is that journey into looking into conventional medicine and how it could help you, and then almost turning your back on it, has led me to the path of alternative type stuff. So yeah, yeah. And just another thing to add with that, the same GP, the last straw for me with him, was when I was quietly confident that I had obstructive sleep apnea, which is, when you're snoring at night and your airway's been closed off. I considered getting onto a CPAP, which is a device to help you sleep. It's like a sleep therapy to alleviate that. And he goes, Greg, if you have a sleep study that says you do have obstructive sleep apnea, I'm going to take your license off you. And I don't have a heavy vehicle license, so that's a non-issue.
Mm-hmm.
But just to have someone say, hey, I know you want to try and help yourself, but I'm going to do this massive thing that is going to take away your ability to earn an income. Just like the mandates and rolling up a sleeve and all that sort of stuff. That was it. I was done. I was done with conventional medicine. And another thing that compounded that, was I have Hashimoto's, which is a underactive thyroid, and he put me on a medicine to try and help that, be like a short-term stopgap to get it going and then again. And I think on day 2 of taking the medication, my nipples started to lactate. I was like, fuck that, I'm done.
Yeah.
And again, this is, and yeah, I think conventional medicine has its place, but just be very wary and think of alternatives before you try anything else.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
piece of advice. I like how you started fasting too. Like that's one of the first things I did too was realizing, oh, we're not really designed to have 3 meals a day. And they talk about breakfast as in breakfast, and you're like, well, what is it? You're breaking your fast having breakfast. It's like, well, why is that called that? Anyway, yeah, that's awesome that you sort of started that fasting journey. Do you still fast now?
Yeah, I do,
Yeah.
and intermittently. I know how powerful it is and how good it is for me. Um, I've I've had a few realizations that I've used, um, particularly crap food, as a coping mechanism to help me deal with adversity. So I'm paying attention to that, and I put a lot of effort into cooking really good, nourishing, sustainable, healthy food, and that makes me feel really great. So I feel like if I'm eating the crap food, and as you know, and this sort of thing, the crap food is a toxin, and then that toxin, your body doesn't really respond to it as food because it's not.
Mm.
And then toxins get stored in your fat, And then you have all these different symptoms of eating crap food. But when you actually do the work and pay attention to how your body responds to things and um, put quality food in, you're just, it's amazing how much mindset is improved. Um, yeah, and something else I struggled with, like the eat less, move more thing doesn't work at all. And anybody who's ever tried it would 100% agree with it because, yeah, but moving more is super important as well because you need to move your body. If you're sedentary and don't move, you're just going to feel lethargic and you're not going to move the lymph around, and it's really bad for you. So I try to go to the gym to do lifting weights and on the treadmill and put a heavy pack on the treadmill, and it just didn't work for me. So um, I think I've been doing kickboxing for about 3 or 4 months now, 6 times a week,
Yeah, nice.
and it doesn't feel like work or a slug because I'm trying to find my tribe and be with my people that are wanting to help themselves. And yeah, having the motivation in the group is really good. I don't intend to do proper fighting, but yeah, at the moment I'm just really enjoying being around people who want to improve themselves, and that's the way for me to move my body and learn something, learning a skill, so it doesn't feel like a chore.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You've really turned your life around, mate. You should be very, very, very proud of yourself. It's a
thank
question
you.
for you too. What was it? What was the light bulb moment for you? Well, you actually probably discussed that with you walking off the job, but what was another light bulb moment for you that sort of went, okay, I need to now change this or do this a different way to how I was doing things?
I think I was oblivious to how the world really was.
Hmm.
Um, the around the COVID time, it's when I sort of woke up and saying, "Hang on, something doesn't add up, and it's not right." Um, and that led me to alternative media and the truther community and stuff like that. And it was really good to get a feel of how things probably are. And I that awakening was a really big deal. That was like the light bulb moment that you
Hmm.
speak of. But it's pretty depressing going down those rabbit holes, and you get a feel for, yeah, you sort of been lied to ever since you started primary school, and books like The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose is having the power of, you know, the belief in authority is a big deal of why the world is the way it is.
Hmm.
And then I think you recommended me the Weapons of Mass Instruction. That was another really great book. That it's like, yeah, yeah. And when I was young, I lived on 15 acres of mallee scrub in a transportable house with a carrier fridge and bore water and solar panel wind generators and stuff like that. And so we never really watched much TV. But later in life, I sort of was a bit of a movie buff and I did watch TV, but now I realize how toxic it is and
Hmm.
all that subconscious programming. And I very rarely spend time watching even on demand TV. I just don't have the attention span for it anymore. And I kind of don't read into the alternative media much anymore as well, because I feel like if something isn't enriching or empowering me, it really shouldn't hold my attention.
Hmm.
So it's nice to know what's going on, but if it's still negative and fear based, that's no good either.
Nah, you're right. And that's interesting too, because you also touched on the subconscious programming as well. Did you know much about this part of the mind at all before you sort of dabbled in those rabbit holes and then obviously the journey with me as well? Like, was there much about that part of the mind, the subconscious, that you sort of were aware of? Were you even aware of it at all?
In some respects, in terms of high performance and the mental game, and especially in the shooting sports, because I
Mm.
really put a lot of effort into being at the top of my game. Something uh, I was made aware of is when you have unconscious competence, you can just do things well subconsciously without thinking.
Yeah.
So if you got to give your conscious mind something to think about, it it gets out of the way and your unconscious can just get it done. So an example of that is um, on a trigger pull on a precision rifle shot at long distance. If you just keep thinking about um, the process, it's going to get in the way. When you know how to do it, so you get out of your own way by giving your inner self talk something to think about that isn't really related to the job. So, like, there's a book called Secrets of Mental Marksmanship by Linda Miller and Keith Cunningham. They talk about using a catchword like calm blue ocean or something completely unrelated to the task and getting your subconscious to do the work when it knows how to do it. But just the belief in your ability, I think, is a big deal. If it is like me to be able to achieve something, then I can. I think Henry Ford back in the day said, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're probably right. Either way. So apart from going through the Christoph Freedom from Self-Sabotage course, it was only ever having the exposure to that subconscious for performance reasons. But now, like we both know, it's such a huge deal. Like if you can just tune out of the negative and turn the screens off and yeah, put the positive, powerful content into your own mind through affirmations and wall art and hypnotherapy and stuff like that. It's just such a big deal.
Mm. And it's about that also about that consistent, being consistent with and being patient with the process too.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
with the hypnotherapy, a lot of people will want that change to happen instantly. It's not really an instant thing. It's more of a step by step, inch by inch, and you'll get there.
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
found that too?
Yeah, I did some of Andrea's hypnotherapy stuff, the 21 days, and it was good. But I feel like I like to do it before I go to bed now because I
Mm,
found that's really relaxing and it winds me down. It's just part of
same.
the process, and I do it in red light, and um, so I do it before I go to bed. But also, because I do classes early in the morning at the gym, the kickboxing stuff, I get there early and just do it in the car before that. So I feel like the more I can do it, the more exposure I have, and the more the reps are in because subconscious programming is all about repetition. Um, so yeah, I'm really I think it's super powerful, and I'll continue to do it.
Yeah, and I find too, mate, that I put it on before I go to sleep myself. It's really, really powerful. I find myself falling asleep to it. It's just part of my every night routine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just touching on sleep, sleep's been a big deal for me
Yep.
for quite a long time. And I think since I've seen you, I I think I've changed my head end of the bed from the north side to the south side because that's
Ah.
a Ayurvedic principle and there's an energy flow thing there.
Hmm.
I don't know if I believe it or not, but it's something that I could do and I've done. I've started using earthing sheets on the bed. I because it's a easy way to get grounding at the
Yep.
night. I keep my phone in the ensuite bathroom, not near the bed. I don't have a plugged in desk lamp. I've got a touch red light battery powered desk lamp. Um, yeah, and I try and really stay away from the blue light before bed and try not to eat too late because when your uh, body is metabolizing and digesting food, that brings your core temperature up, and then your body can't have that 2 or 3 degrees temperature drop. It needs to work. Got the blackout curtains. Kept the cats out of the room, which is a really big deal because they are super annoying, and I didn't realize how disruptive they were. The lights from the hallway I've sort of blocked off with like a door stopper to stop the light creeping in.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I've put a lot of effort into sleep, and it's yeah, and I've maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I was like, I need to make an appointment with my GP because this obstructive sleep apnea thing is still a big deal. And I know how important sleep is. So I went to get booked in with him, but he was unavailable. And I got an alternative GP. I said, bang, 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 bang. This is what I think. And he's like, oh, okay. You're pretty adamant on this. And yeah, the other GP was going to take my license if he was, I think he is being over conscientious and didn't realize I didn't have a heavy vehicle license. But he asked what strategies I'd done, and he was on the same page. And I've been going to guided meditation as really well as well, because I think it's super good to bring down your cortisol and just relax. And it's really selfishly time spent for you, which is a big deal. And he's like, oh, okay. So he recommended a sleep study. And I have got a CPAP now and I'm starting to use it. It's a big adjustment period because it can be quite disruptive if you're not familiar with it. But then I think I had to go to Adelaide for training or something like that and couldn't make kickboxing on the Thursday night. So I went back to the guided meditation and that GP was there. He came along. So it's really good to see conventional doctors and stuff like that jump on the alternative stuff because yeah, it's a big deal.
So how is your sleep now? So has it improved with all
Yeah,
those changes you made?
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, definitely. And I feel I didn't really have daytime sleepiness, but just I think when your sleep is good, your body is getting the correct chemicals at the correct time. And I'm not sure if I mentioned in this podcast, but I was super addicted to coffee
Yeah.
and caffeine. It was a really big deal for me to the point where if I didn't have the barista made coffee before work, I was cranky and it was unpleasant. And if had the shakes and stuff like that, it was a big deal. So I think during our first session or second session, you mentioned the Caffeine Blues book by Stephen Chiniski, and I got halfway through, and like you said, I didn't want to have it anymore, but I persisted and went to a coffee alternative. I went for caffeine free, for like a decaf stuff, which still has caffeine in it for quite a while as a weaning process. Then I went to hot chocolates, and now I'm slowly just into the herbal teas and fruit teas. So yeah, coming back to the sleep thing, if you are suppressing a natural chemical that your body wants to produce with something artificial like caffeine or alcohol or any of those things, um, yeah, your body doesn't work properly.
No.
So yeah, I feel heaps better in that I'm doing the work and putting in the effort to make headway. I think that's a big deal too. If you can complain and whinge and you're just going to go nowhere. So I think if you're doing work and moving forward, that's the biggest thing.
100%. And a lot of people out there in society are looking for that quick fix. They're looking for that quick thing. It's like with this work, as your testament to, it's a journey. It's a journey, and it takes time. And it's awesome now to see that you're finally off the coffee now, and you're kicking goals. It's really awesome to see. We'll touch on coffee though too. How did you go during that weaning off process, and how did your body respond to not having that in the system anymore? And a lot of people talk about the first couple of months are really, really tough. How did
I
you
think
go with that?
the biggest thing was I realized I had a problem. It was
Yeah.
a proper addiction, and acknowledgement of that is
The first step.
the first step. Yeah, yeah. So acknowledging it, and around the same time, I stopped drinking alcohol as well, and I never drank much before. But the thing with alcohol is it's a muscle relaxant and a poison, but a muscle relaxant. So when you're trying to sleep and this is somebody from who's had obstructive sleep apnea, it relaxes the muscles, and there's a nerve in your neck that tells you you're choking, and the way your body wakes it up is to send a signal that you need to go to the toilet. So everything comes back in like that. So how was getting off coffee? Um, it was good to know that I was moving forward.
Mm.
And yeah, I went to decaf, like I said, went through that process. But the big thing as well was inside coffee cups, there's chemicals that are no good for you, which are obesogens, and in plastics and stuff, there's estrogen mimickers and all that. But the big thing around coffee for me was trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Walking around seeing people with a coffee cup, I was still the guy with a coffee cup, but it had hot chocolate in it. So yeah, especially through the coaching stuff, and being enlightened to why we want to fit in and safety in the herd, and that was a really big deal. So yes, you see your old tribe, all those coffee drinkers, the people, that take away coffee cups at the cafe. I know how bad it is for you, and I know where I was. Um, no, if people want to drink coffee, that's cool. I know we'll bring some hate because it's the drug they need. And I was there. I was there. I definitely, yeah, I was addicted. So yeah, I think substitution is really, really good. Um, but find bad habits are something that can be fixed with substitution. So there's a stimulus for something, then a bad habit, and then like a reward. So if you can replace that bad habit with something, a better alternative, like a healthy, non-caffeinated tea, then yeah, it was tough because I was properly addicted. So
Well, it's good to see you're out of it now and you're kicking goals. If there is a piece of advice you would give to someone, Greg, that's where you were probably 2 or 3 years ago, what would you say to that person to start their journey towards something better?
don't try and fit in.
Good
Don't try
piece of
and fit
advice.
in. Um, it feels when you're not doing the same as everybody else is doing, it's can be a lonely place and uncomfortable. But if you're trying to fit in, like for me, I keep wanting to go back to competition shooting. Um, it's because I was good at it, and but it's just trying to fit in, and everything else, all the reasons why I pretty much stopped will just, you know, yeah, yeah. Don't try and fit in. Walk your own path, and try and be the best version of yourself. Yes, we all go back to the tool shed, and that's a coaching um, word for doing the things that are not good for you, but you do anyway. So try not to fit in and find your people. As you get better and healthier and you think clearer because you're not poisoning yourself, and you sleep better and all that sort of stuff, you will attract people who are on the same wavelength, and you'll kind of leave a lot of old friends behind, um, because you're not trying to fit in with them anymore. You're doing your thing and they're still stuck in their ways. And um, yeah, I was a soldier as well, and you find the people who still hang around, uh, yeah, they're on your wavelength. And when you're being the best version of yourself, you attract more people just like that. And that's really, really powerful.
That is really, really powerful. Greg, let's talk about where people can find you and your new venture, coaching venture.
So blacksheepstraightshooter.com.au or bsss.com.au. That's my website. And like Nathan, I'm a freedom from self-sabotage coach, and I work with anybody. Anybody who wants to help themselves and do the work, then I'm more than happy to work with them and offer a free half an hour consultation just to see if we're a good fit and we're going to work together. My niche, though, is for high performance people who are maybe at the top of their game or near the top of their game, but they're looking for the competitive edge in shooting sports or anything like that. I have a big shooting background, so that's me. But everything you do away from that sport, like for me, there's a podcast called The Gun that I'm starting, is going to be the biggest improvement. So all the self sabotage stuff and getting out of your own way is where the gold is, and that's how I'm going to help people find their way. And yeah, so
Look
that's me.
out. Greg's going to
Yeah,
do a great job.
yeah.
Greg, thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your story and everything that you've shared today. It's a really powerful story, man, and I'm looking forward to hearing you share this now on many, many platforms going forward. And it's awesome to see how far you've come, man, too. You should be very,
Thank you,
very,
and
very, very proud of yourself.
thank you, and thanks for putting me on the path. You empowered me, and yeah, it's another option for me to get back into the teaching and coaching side of things. And yeah, thank you, and very much appreciated.
No worries at all. So, Greg, plug your website one more time in case someone misheard it.
blacksheepstraightshooter.com.au, bSSS.com.au, coaching at bSSS.com.au. And something I haven't heard on your podcast for a while is the dad joke. So let's bring it back. Let's finish up with that.
Interesting. I haven't shared a dad joke for ages, man. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dad joke, yeah.
So,
What can we go with here?
I got one. What's the last thing that goes through a bug's mind as it hits the windscreen?
What's that?
It's us.
No.
Yeah, and this is another joke that isn't really a joke, but what's the difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory in 2020?
Oh, what?
About 6 months. Yeah, you can't wake someone up who's pretending to be asleep.
No, you definitely can't. Interesting. Why? My dad joke is it's about trying to get I know the punchline. I've always had trouble off the cuff trying to say this joke. It's so funny, but I'm trying to think of the
Don't choke, Nathan. Come on, step up.
um it's about what do you call no, it's not what do you call it's did you hear about the constipated accountant? He couldn't budget, he had to work out of paper and pencil.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's full of shit as well. It's full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Greg, thanks so much for jumping on and sharing your story today, mate. Really, really, really appreciate you giving your time to this. And yeah, awesome to see you out there doing your thing. I'm not biased, everyone. Greg's website is actually really awesome the way he's put it together. It's a very, very, very well put together show. So jump on there and take a look around. Greg, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you jumping on. We'll talk
Thanks
soon.
for your time, Nathan. See
Thanks,
ya.
guys. Talk to you soon. We've got some awesome guests coming up. It's been the Breaking Free podcast. Greg, Nathan signing off. Cheers.